For more on this, we now speak to combat leader Enos Maake, and he joins us in studio. Enos, thank you so much for your time this evening here in SABC News. I mean, today you went on a protest in Cosmos City. Tell us why.
All right. Yeah, no, it is long overdue, and I think it should not happen only in Cosmos City. All communities in South Africa should start standing up against corruption. So there is a syndicate which is taking place by officials, I think on purpose, allocating people who are not supposed to be in those properties. So what we have seen there is that officials just, come into communities after the projects have been finished and then appoint themselves without terms of reference from either the chief director in the department or a department head or the municipality, which is the executive director or the city managers. So these guys, they go around asking people to come and ask for approvals. You know, what you do is that you can be approved this year, and then in a month later, you can be allocated a unit. So in Malabongo, for example, what was happening there is that people were called to say, if you want a house, you must apply. And they did. People sent their ID copies. They sign at the back of their ID copies, and then they give it to this official. They process them immediately. And when they process them, they allocate them. So then begs a question to say, what happened to the people of 1996? Because today we're with the elderly, hundreds of them who were complaining to say, we're still waiting, and then we have not benefited. But we're seeing young faces, young people who are not even staying in those communities, who just arrive and then they get these properties. So it is we believe strongly that the executive, it could be aware, but what happens with the executive is that they always take advice from these officials, because the executive, what wants to do is that they want to appear in front of the media to say, today we're going to Cosmos City, we're giving 200 or 500 title deeds. And the people who are doing all these things are the officials on the ground. And then the MEC will be excited to say, I'm handing over, without checking and verifying, to say, these are the legitimate people who applied since 1996.
Yeah.
Are we clearing the backlog or what?
When we talk about the people who are meant to benefit from this new development in Cosmos City, how many people have actually been affected?
It's quite a lot, because in Malabongo Ridge on its own, there's a master list that had about 3,700 people which were sitting on city land. So it's an informal area. And then they're trying to regularize it and build houses for them. So now what is happening there, those who are on the original database, the master list, now have been jumped and overlooked. Then you can just come if you have resources, money, or you are connected to the so-called allocation team that we believe is bogus. And then you go through that and then you get a unit. That's how it operates.
Have you reached out to the Human Settlements Department before?
We started with the ward councillor and we asked him to say, can you bring forward the allocation team, because we have questions, because we are worried in the manner in which they carry out the allocations. I'm from Zanspruit in Ward 114, but we've got our base in Cosmos City. So we know how the allocations are being carried. The allocation team has been nominated. There are terms of reference that tell how you must establish this allocation team. If it's a joint committee together with province, they work together. So now what we've seen there is that people were moved even at night. And that is not an allocation. An allocation must treat people with dignity. There's no one who must be moved into a house at night, or people even carrying their own goods into those units. They must be given proper dignity and respect as they move people in. But what also happens is that in the same spaces where they are trying to regularize, people are building back into those spaces, because the project, then you can see that it is not managed properly, because what we used to see is that when they allocate a person, That structure needs to be destroyed completely, material be taken out. And then now they are leaving the material. The leaders and those teams are selling this material back to the community, and people are building up the shacks again.
And as a community, what would you like to see? I mean, with this protest in which you took part in today, what would you like to see actually happen and this be addressed?
One, we want the cabal, those who are running this the syndicate of allocating people improperly, so to be arrested, number one. Because the queue jumping, it's a serious concern. If I have the elder who since 1996 has not got his unit, it is a cause for concern. So we want MEC to investigate, number one, to say this team of the allocation, under which mandate were they operating under. We must investigate those people. Secondly, we want the people who have been invaded, we want who have been, no, not invaded, because we have another issue in Malabongwe. Yeah, those who have been allocated, to say, can we see, can we verify them? When did they apply? You know, the housing code says clearly that it's a first come, first serve principle with the norms and standards. So it means somebody cannot just apply this year and next year they are approved. So we want them to do audit and verify those people who occupied those properties, to say, actually, can they demonstrate, or where was this person staying? Because some of the people are not staying in Cosmos City, Malibongwe Ridge. Some people just come from outside the communities. And
talk about the people who've now been allocated these homes. Do we know if they've been given title deeds for the homes in which they've been allocated?
No, they are not given title deeds yet. But a ceremony is underway, we believe so. The MEC will be going there and say, yeah, I've got so many people that I must issue title deed. But the problem is that those people currently, they don't have those title deeds. And I think a title deed becomes a bit of a process. So yeah, they don't have.
Is the government willing to entertain these problems or these allegations you're placing on their doorstep when it comes to the allocation of these homes to people you claim were just put on these lists just last year?
Yeah, no, we sent a strong message to Sam Mahatla from the MEC office that we want this allocation immediately stopped. And secondly, we want investigations. And they said they are going to sit immediately on Monday together with City of Johannesburg to form a committee to look into the serious allegation that we have raised, because they have seen themselves that where they claim that they were opening space, people are still sitting there. So there's no progress in that regard. So we trust that it's not a political statement, and we trust that they were going to deliver. But we also told them that they must do internal investigation against two gentlemen. They call themselves Uten Bovu, former MMC of Human Settlement, and also Kevin, the guy called Kevin, because they are the one who are leading this allocation process.
And if nothing gets resolved, what do you plan to do as the community? What if those who were just on the list last year are now allocated these homes? What will happen to the community?
No, if there's no appetite, I think it's corruption on its own. And I think it requires serious leadership to be sober in this issue, rather than want community to always protest. We will never get tired of protesting. Combat is a protest movement. We'll protest until we'll raise awareness about these sorts of things. And then should we fail, we'll have to go to the highest office, find Mamuluk Kubai, the Minister of Human Settlement, to say Leboham Maile has no appetite in addressing our issues in Cosmos City. So we'll escalate as we go on.
Enos, thank you so much for your time this evening here in SABC News.
You're welcome.
All right, that is Enos Maake from Cosmos City, and he is the leader of the the community activism group called Combat. Also, they're fighting issues around housing in Cosmos City.